beans, cattle, and not potatoes. Okay? We're the other Idaho. You've ever seen that shit? Since last year, I came out of coming out of the hospital and all. I wrote 3 little books. Got 3 new books out. One, Building Kingdom Community, and it's about preparing people's hearts to go on mission. And I wrote shorter books this time. I'm finding people will read them and read them to the end, and they'll read them many times. A lot of people are using this as kind of a foundation in their churches and running their people through this. It's just a simple book. I wrote a book called Kingdom Principles, and this is like a tool that you can hand a pastor or a church that's wanting to understand kingdom and get them started down that path. So I decided to start putting tools into leaders' hands so they have something besides for themselves. I did a book called Words of the Father, and this is what I have. These are like short little things, about 40 of them, of how I've ran and done ministry over the years. And so like all true ministry comes out of your overflow. If you don't have overflow, you don't have true ministry. So it's like concepts like that. And so I did this for leaders as well. So I've got these 3 little books. Starting in about a week, we're starting a webinar school called Legacy School. It's it's not through Facebook. It's separate from Facebook, so Facebook can't take it from us. And it's basically a school. It's called Apostolic Ways to Release Ancient Paths. And so I come at things, for those of you that know, I come at things differently. For those of you that don't know, you'll soon find out. So, convening the ecclesia, the battle for earth. We are in a battle. I'm going to cover probably several things, skip like a stone, because when you have 47 minutes, you don't have a lot of time to develop something. But we'll let you develop it yourself, because God can speak to you just as easy as He speaks to me. One of the things I noticed that when we came out of the prophetic moment that we had with the prophets yesterday was that the older prophets spoke of now bringing us into the future, and the younger prophets spoke of the future and the things that need to change to get us there. And I thought I'd bring that out so you could see exactly what was going on there. And that's why we need this next generation to bring us insights. Otherwise, we get caught in like tunnel vision. And we got to open up our understanding a little bit. So we're in a battle, aren't we? And I'll tell you what the battle is about. The battle is if you're going to see the throne of God or not. Because if you can see the throne of God, then you can see victory. You can see the place of understanding and get revelation. Many of the things that we're battling in all of our ministries are keeping us from having a true understanding of what does that throne look like. Because if the enemy can stop you from seeing the throne, he'll stop you in the victory that's at the throne. You see, God's wanting us not necessarily to go get a victory, but He's wanting us to move out of the victory we already have. And I think our understanding has to change. I've been doing a lot of studying on high places, corrupt thrones, that there are some corrupt thrones that are going on in the nation, and also the fact that there's iniquities that we still have as the church. And as much as we all don't want to admit it, we have religious understanding a lot inside of us, even as full gospel people or as charismatic, Pentecostal, whatever we are, kingdom-minded even. We have religious understandings and iniquities. And I've been doing a study on it and identified 25 iniquities that we are that's hindering us from truly having an understanding of who God is. And there are religious things that have came into even our culture and even as kingdom people, and it's hindering us from what God wants to do. So this battle is, who's going to see this throne? It's kind of interesting that the enemy understands the power of seeing the throne. But do we understand it when we actually see the power of the throne? So we have wars in the heavens, and we could very easily turn to Ephesians 6 and talk about that war, Ephesians 4 and 6, and the government of God, and the government of the enemy, and all of that. But we actually have some other wars that are coming into play in our lives that I don't think we understand as part of the warfare. And there's actually a battle in fellowship. Because when we are not in fellowship, we are coming into disunity. And one of the things that's happened in our culture is things have come to rob our time of being able to truly fellowship one with another. Our schedules, our commitments, and it gets into our belief systems and how we view each other and how we view the church down the street or how we view the ministry around the corner. And am I going to come into fellowship with that person or not? And there is a real battle that's going on in this hour about fellowship. And God's trying to get us into not just fellowshipping with ourselves, but fellowshipping in a cross-pollination, that we see the body as one, and we working towards the oneness of John 17, and we're coming into the unity of the faith of Ephesians 4. We're moving towards those things, but if we aren't moving as a corporate collective group, we're probably not truly having fellowship. The other battle that we are in that we probably don't understand, but we probably do to a degree, is corporate intercession. And we go into corporate intercession and we're battling in it like we normally do, and we're warring and we're coming against and we're decreeing and we're doing what we know that we're supposed to do, but there's a conflict of our perspectives in what we're interceding for. Probably coming out of that we're not fellowshipping. So the body of Christ, even in my state, we've got focuses that are in every prayer house that are basically their pet project more than there is a focus of the kingdom. We've got churches that are focused on their missions program and not focused on the overall mission of the church. And so we have perspectives that we're actually having to battle through, because every prayer going up is having an effect. And everything's being empowered by faith. And if it gets back to where I started, is our faith being empowered by seeing the throne and the victory of the throne, or is our faith being empowered by the knowledge we think we have? Because there's a big difference between knowing truth and having active truth. And right now we're in a season, we've been in an era of a whole lot of knowledge. We are saturated with knowledge. We are saturated with knowing truth, but we have very little activity of that truth being applied. We're in revelation overload in a lot of ways. And it's like we keep thinking the next revelation is going to be the key that's going to unlock the magical door that we'll walk through. And it's like we've already been given everything in this victory that lies at the throne. But what we're fighting and battling is unbelief and doubt, and we're wondering, is this really going to work? And if we're very honest, that's the struggle that's going on, which is a stronghold, which is sitting between your ears. You see, this is that iniquity that's coming because we've been living in corrupt thrones. Now, what is a corrupt throne? I don't even know where I'm at here. We're just kind of floating along. But the clock is still going. A corrupt throne is a place. I will open a can of worms, and Dr. Patty will. Oh, yes, I'm counting on you. Yes, you see, Jim's counting on you too. This is what I've been looking at, and this is where people have been ordained by God and been given authority by God and placed by God in a place. That authority is there given and will not be, God isn't going to remove that authority off of that set person. But to me, what a corrupt throne is when the motive of the heart is askew, trying to be exercised by the authority of God. And we end up then creating a place that generates iniquity, which is lawlessness and twisted thinking.
Very good.
And see, when we start to do that, we find out that it's kind of like, well, we're the ones that's going to bring the move of God to the city. Which, in those words, you're almost cursing the rest of the church and disqualifying them, because the motive of the heart is not pure like it should be, but you're carrying authority of God to perform a work. Are y'all kind of tracking? Or am I
Yes.
And so what you end up happening is it's almost confusing, but it starts to tie up entire regions. And whole regions back from seeing the move of God come, because this place that was to be a life-giving place, see, now we go back to where we began, fellowship, prayer. Do we see the throne? I mean, where's the humility that leaders are to have? That instead of trying to build our own kingdom, we're building the kingdom of God. That I can't do it without Him. That there's a strength that comes from Him. That and so for me, since I was in this season last year, my perspectives on a whole lot of things have shifted. That I'm seeing that there's a place in the Spirit that we've got to go that we're not going because we're back here knowing truth, but not activating our truth. See, when truth gets activated, truth gets contended with. And the second you start activating, see, if all you're doing is collecting truth and knowledge, you might as well not even collect it because it has no weight of performance of what it will bring forth in fruit in the earth. But once it becomes active and starts going into motion, all of a sudden, whether you want to or not, you've entered a war. And that war is, and that truth is existing to take you to the throne, is what it's doing. No matter what the truth is, it's to see the victory of Christ. But when you enter into that war, we lose track that it's trying to stop my vision of where I need to go. So I put it kind of like this. We got to become more spiritually present in the very moment we live. And we've got to start engaging our spiritual senses. You have discernment, but when was the last time that discernment was engaged where it paid off? You know how we almost define discernment? After something goes astray, I discerned it. Well, that was simple. When will we discern it before? When will we discern the enemy's plans laid out for this next year against all of us sitting here? When will we discern the plans that are coming against our children, against our ministries, against our own personal lives, that we stop it? Amen. Instead of tolerate it? See, these things are coming to just wear us down, wear us down, wear us down. And they're creating atmospheres. Atmospheres are the prevailing spiritual realities created by man's partnership with them, with entities and powers and principalities. And they start creating these atmospheres. And these entities are coming, trying to find who will partner with them, who will come into agreement with them. And we always think about, well, that's the other guy coming into agreement. But you see, if we're carrying iniquity, we're going to try to connect that iniquity into an agreement someplace. And so these atmospheres are maintained from the spiritual realm as man keeps participating with them. And there are men that are participating with atmospheres, and there are even good, well-meaning men that are participating with atmospheres, and there are even Christian leaders participating with atmospheres. You'll get a little quiet. I can't be animated. I love that somebody can't though. So it's kind of like this, it's kind of how I look at it. It's like, we're going to have to go beyond where we've been. We cannot keep doing the same things, expecting the same results.
That's right. That's right.
We somewhere, and I say this, it's like that would shift all of that and dismiss all of that and cause us to really be who we're supposed to be. In Mark chapter 4, I'm not going to read a lot of scripture today, so I'm not, I hope you don't think I'm a heretic or anything. I was with a man once, and we had a conversation, and we left the thing, and he said, I just want to make sure that man knew he's a heretic. We were at lunch, and he had a wrong concept of the kingdom, and basically that was the final parting thing he said to the man. He said, I just want you to know you're a heretic in what you believe. And he was setting truth on place. Because he was, see, see, that's kind of shocking. That should not be shocking to us. If somebody's in error, we should be able to try to correct them. And if they don't want to receive correction, then we should be addressing instead of tolerating. These are the things that are creating iniquity in the church. You remember the story. They're going, Jesus said, let's go to the other side. Crossing the lake, storm comes, he's sleeping, guys are all in panic. And the word go to the other side means to go beyond. Let's go beyond, guys. Let's go beyond where we've been in our faith. Let's go beyond what our understanding is. Let's go beyond where you think it's safe. Let's go beyond. And they start on the journey, and the storm comes. And this is what the Lord showed me about this war that we're in. The storm is coming from your future, not from now. The storm was coming from the other side. The storm was trying to stop them from seeing what God would do when they got to the destination. The storm was coming from their future. Most of the time, you see how we discern, the storm is right now. No, the storm's from the future. And the enemy knows what's going to happen if you hit your future. You're going to see the throne. You're going to have perspectives you never knew. And they go to the other side, and they arrive. And you know what's happening at the other side? We've got this man that's demon-possessed. When you do a study of that region, there was a city there called Decapolis. And Decapolis was a place that was full of idolatry, and it was full of people that, there was 10 cities, and everybody was focused upon themselves, and it was a self-seeking place. And in that place, the one that had the loudest voice was the one that was heard and formed the culture. So here comes Jesus. Guys are coming with him, going beyond where they've ever been. And here's how we always look at this story. He went to deliver this man. He went to deliver an entire culture. Because when the man got delivered, it shifted the whole region. The understanding of what was he doing? He was bringing the throne into the very present that they could see it. And understand who has final authority in this. But if we get caught up in the storm, we don't make the other side. You know the news is terrible. The media is terrible. There's evil everywhere. If you're caught up in all of that, you're not going to make the other side. We're spiritual beings. We are living in a spiritual realm. We're at a higher plateau than this world and the worldliness that we're all seeing. That's captivating us almost. And so what happens is, I put it like this: atmospheres creates the spiritual climate. There's a spiritual climate that rests over all your cities, and it's by who's sustaining that climate. When we took out the TM thing in our hometown, before we moved to our capital, when we were all done with that assignment, we went from 7,000 people meditating in domes, calling on the name of Hindu gods, to about 500 or 600. When that thing was broken, I had leaders, I had businessmen calling me into their office and saying, "What's going to become of us now that you're leaving? We all know that you were the ones sustaining this whole thing." So I said back to him, "Well, why didn't you support us? You never even gave us an offering. You didn't even show up at a meeting." And they said, "Well, what's going on?" And then I had pastors. I said, are the ways we think. And right now we're in a cultural war in America, which is about how we process and think. But you can't, like my son says, you can't lead people where you aren't. And if our thinking still has iniquity and part of the culture in it, we can't lead him out of that thinking. You see, so there's these things that are going on. Look at the clock. Because strongholds is what creates the culture. And we're always thinking, oh, it's a principality or it's a this. I believe right now the stronghold is in the church, in our thinking. You know, if we really grab hold of one of these truths, that greater is he that's in me than he that's in the world, and there was nothing attached to it that was detrimental, what could we accomplish with that? You see, it's like the things keep coming. And it's kind of like our time as a spiritual being is being divided between being here on the earth and poking our head into heaven. And I mean, I'm getting to the point where I just want to poke my head into heaven and live there a while. And then bring something back out that is effective, that we can accomplish something. You know, I probably said this along the line some year, but they went into the upper room and they waited and they tarried till they were endued with power from on high. They were wrapped like in a blanket. That's what the word endued means. They were wrapped in the nature of God. And they stayed until the nature was wrapping them, and then they left. And Peter goes out and preaches a 10-minute message, and these people, 3,000 people are saved. And we go the opposite, and we spend about 10 minutes in prayer, come out with a truth or knowledge that we probably already had, and we reapply it, and we never get it really active, and our results are not like 3,000 saved, 3,000 are questioning. We're not precise with the truth like a sword that cuts asunder. There has to be this added bonus that we get from heaven of the nature and the presence of God that lets truth cut into the very heart of people and causes the change to occur all the way through into their mindset even, where they drop off everything and they come follow. So I started looking at the early church. You know, I can point out all the problems, but can I find a solution? Because I feel you're unjust to bring the problem if you don't find the solution. I'm not saying I got a solution, but I am saying I have a solution. You see, they had a message that they carried. They had a specific message, and they got that message from heaven. And the messages come to send you on mission. And mission happens and creates momentum, and momentum turns into a movement. And when they poked their head into heaven and got a message from God, and they all agreed on that message, and you can see it happened basically twice, there at the beginning, and there about Acts 15. They went on mission with it. Now think about the church as a whole. Think about us just even in this room. Do we have a singular message that we can go on mission with? That we've heard from God in such a degree that we're all in agreement with that because it bears witness and is that frequency of heaven's pulsating inside of us. Like, yes, that's it. You know, that's what I'm waiting on. I'm waiting on somebody that's going to spend some time and find the message of the hour that we need. Because we got a lot of messages right now. But I'm going to tell you something. I believe that God is big enough to bring us a single message that will cover every bit of it. And I believe that we could go on mission with that message and start momentum and birth a movement. Paul went on a mission, with a message to persecute the Christians in the early church. And he convinced other people to go on mission with him. And he was starting some momentum that almost turned into a movement. Maybe it did, still is today. But when he did that, of course we all know he had a little engagement there, didn't he, with God intervening. And he basically says, Paul, you got the process right, you just got the wrong message.
Okay.
You got the right passion, but you got the wrong message. I'm coming to interrupt your message and bring you a new message. And Paul goes out from that point with a brand new message. Starts creating, he goes on mission. Takes some guys with him on mission. They go out. They're all carrying the same message. Look at Acts 15. Acts 15, they come and they have another message to be added. And they said, we got to pick a couple men that have hazarded their lives for this. We got to have a couple men that are going to put their life on the line for the message and the mission of what we're doing here. And when they did that, they went out. And what's the first thing that they did? We need to find some more people to go on mission. Timothy, I need you to go on mission, and you got to learn this message. That's what spiritual fathering is. It isn't what we're doing today, to a degree. We're raising people and investing. But we're supposed to be picking sons and daughters to go on mission with us because of the message we're carrying. You see? And we're trying to grow up fivefold leaders by cookie cuttering through school. And they picked fivefold leaders because there was an additional grace. And then I think all of them were sons and daughters first. They were all in relationship. They were all focused in fellowship. And from that, they said, there's an additional grace resting on your life to accomplish this task in the earth. You need to come on mission with me. You've got the message. Let's go mission. So we're kind of like, we don't give testimonies. We need mission report. Because a testimony is about you and a mission report is about what God did through you. You see? It changes the mindset that when I leave the doors, I'm on mission. I'm not just going out here living my life and I'm disconnected from the corporate assignment. I'm connected into something bigger than myself. And so because of that, I'm on mission and I have a message that I'm on mission with. Is that kind of helping you a little? See, a mission is the outward expression of the inward vision you have of yourself. When you understand who you are and what God has graced you with, this is my reality that I'm faced with right now. And it isn't in a bragging way. It isn't. It's like I have to come to grips with what I'm carrying. And I got to accept what God has done in my life. And now he's asking for a return on his investment. And I can't sit here and say, well, I got to be so humble and I got to be like this. I just got to be who I am. And relax in this and realize he's done work. Now he's requiring something of my hand. And that's why I'm starting this school and doing some other things and changing some things. And all of us are wrestling with these things, aren't we? So Paul goes out. We'll go back to Paul for a moment. Paul goes out preaching around. And there's a point there at Antioch where Barnabas says, I think I got to go get Paul. We got to get Paul here. Let's go find Paul. And you know what historians and some of the theological historians say? That Paul was hiding in a cave when they found him. That he actually believed he had failed the mission. Because he did not see the result he was going after. How many of you feel that you failed your mission and you drew back to hide in a cave? We've all done it, haven't we? But you see, you don't know what you have done, the impact that It's just we're waiting for the season of its maturity. And as we talk about awakening and a move of God sweeping, all of that will be what we have planted as seed and put into the ground and even watered at times and matured, coming into fruition. It's just not quite that season hasn't came upon us yet. And so we can get hopelessness. We can come to the point of wanting to quit. My wife and me would quit almost every day at one point. It's your turn to quit today. No, I get to quit. You don't get to quit today. I get to quit. Because what we were seeing wasn't coming to pass. The frustration you're all feeling is because the church hasn't reached its maturity yet. That's what's causing this thing inside of us of an unsettledness. But we got to be careful that the unsettledness doesn't frustrate us to the point of discouraging us and causing us to be judgmental. So you see, Paul's in this. They go and find Paul, and I can almost hear the conversation. It's like Barnabas is saying, "Paul, you got to come." They got the message starting to move inside of them. It's starting to create some stirring in Antioch. You got to come see what you did. You got to see this. And he comes and he starts teaching there because he's like, "Oh my gosh, it's building some momentum. Something is about to be birthed into the earth. A movement is about to come into the earth." And it empowered Paul to pay any price, go anywhere. Where is Paul? Do anything. Go on mission. Accomplish any kind of beating, persecution, because this thing's starting to come. Here it comes. And it's unstoppable. Because this message came from heaven. What did Paul do to get that message? I'm going into the landing zone now. After 16 minutes, this will be a good approach. Someone asked me, "You're not going to beat us up today, are you?" I said, "No, I'm going to try not to." But what did Paul do to get this message? Did he read a lot of books? Did he do a lot of podcasts? Did he go to a lot of conferences? I bet he did a lot of conferences. He went and got with God and poked his head into heaven and saved their life. And then he came back out with a message. And that message is what created all of this. So it's kind of like this. Ephesians chapter 3 talks about that I may make all men know and fellowship with the mystery. The mysteries. When was the last time you fellowshiped with the mystery? I wonder if our koinonia of mystery and the understanding of how we have intimate relationship with a mystery would help us with our fellowship one with another. Instead of just touching in to get something for our next message, that we actually let that... See, Paul said two things. He says, I'm a slave to this mystery. I'm a prisoner to this mystery. This mystery has captivated me to the point that this is all I'm living for, is this mystery. He had intimate knowledge of it to present it down into the earth so that the church could be empowered with that mystery. Now, all you people, I guess I will mess with you a little bit. How's it going how's it going in the process of you leading your people into fellowshipping with mysteries? Because Paul said as an apostle, this is challenging to me, as an apostle, he had an ability to bring people into fellowship with mysteries. Intimate knowledge of a mystery. I mean, we struggle with just mystery, let alone leading somebody there with us. I believe when he picked Timothy up some knowledge, he was fellowshipping with mysteries as well. And he brought him into that fellowshipping with those secret things of God that Daniel saw and others saw. And it was creating something inside of Paul that caused him to go on message, mission, momentum, movement. Is that not what we need?
Right.
You know what I think would be wonderful? And I don't know if anybody will show up. To have a conference where you did nothing but just sought God and nobody spoke even when it was finished. It's kind of like, who's going to pay to come for a conference where we don't hear anything or do anything except seek God? And I feel like we're like in a gerbil wheel. We're just, it's like, did someone just pull the plug and get the power out of this thing that we're creating? I'm not saying it's all wrong. I'm just saying that, man, I think there's another level of something we're supposed to get into that we've not yet reached because we're just consumed with everything except what we should be consumed with. So I also wanted to try to redeem some of the lunchtime. Oh, my laptop decided to go to sleep. Well, I woke up. Must be an awakening happening. So I went on a little journey. I can't see. You see how the stones kind of skipped here today? I can't stay at any of these places too long, even though I could. I started out with 27 pages of notes for this morning. And I reduced it down to 17. And then I reduced it down to 11. And that's kind of where I ended, but I said I won't cover all of that. I probably covered about 3. So, these things are inside of me. It's more to come with probably another book somewhere or something. Would you like to know what the mysteries are that Paul fellowshiped with? They're in the scriptures. They're right there in front of us, and we read right by them. First mystery is the mystery of regeneration. 1 Timothy 3:16. Regeneration. There is a spirit of regeneration working in all. I went through a regeneration since last year. In my physical body, but in my spirit, there's a regeneration going on all the time. And it's like it's a principle of regeneration. Second mystery, the mystery of the divine indwelling Christ, Ephesians 1:25-29. Greater is he that's in me than he that's in the world. The same spirit that raised Christ from the dead is dwelling inside of me. These things are throughout all of Paul's teaching. And you'll see it reflected in what he was presenting to the people to say, I want to bring you into these fellowshipping with these mysteries and these things. Number 3, the mystery of the church. Ephesians 3:1-11. The mystery of this that God is building. The mystery of this ecclesia. I mean, it's almost like you could say, battle for earth, convening the mystery of the ecclesia. The mystery of who we are, the mystery of how we function, the mystery of our authority, the mystery of the Christ in us. Number 4, the mystery of Israel's blindness. Isn't that interesting? Romans 11:25-6. How could they reject this gospel? How could they be so blind to it? How could they not accept that which they've contended for? I think there's a huge thing in there we need to fellowship with about the blindness of this age. I think there's a key that's going to unlock us of a whole lot of things. ways culturally if we'll fellowship with that mystery. Number 5, the mystery of the translation of the living saints. We're all going to sleep. 1 Corinthians 15:50. He says, "Beloved, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall be changed." What a mystery. We're talking about miracles with somebody, and I said, you know what? Salvation is the greatest miracle we could ever see. You can explain it to me, but you can't explain it to me. How does the switch get flipped? How does the transformation happen? It's the same thing with this mystery of the living saints. Number 6, the mystery of iniquity. See, that's what took me on my journey. And I started seeing about 25 iniquities saying in the church. The mystery of iniquity, 2 Thessalonians 2:1-9. Number 7, the mystery of the church is the bride of Christ. Ephesians 5:22. And all of those mysteries, he said there was a couple of them that were great mysteries. And that was one of them. In other words, I'm going to tell you the other one, I'm going to give you homework. How's that? In other words, there's a couple of these that are mega. Great mega. There's a couple of these that are probably even more important than any of the other mysteries that I've been fellowshipping with. And this is what formed Paul to be a messenger to go on mission. Is there a pathway to awakening? I believe there is. I believe there's a message for awakening. I believe there's a group of people that will go on mission for awakening. And I believe and I love what Hope said, it's like hold. We have to hold till we get what we need to complete what we're doing. Hold the ground, but slip over here for a moment and grab something fresh from God for your... See, I think all of us have a message and a mission for your region to create momentum and a movement. But I also believe we have something as a corporate body of Christ for our nation to create an awakening throughout the whole nation. And I don't really care who pokes their head up into heaven and sees something to get the message. But I want somebody to please get the message. Because you can see the power of that message that came from heaven, how it shifted everything. Well, that's what I got to share. I'll redeem a few minutes. God bless you all. Let me pray for us. Father, I just pray that you would give us this message. I pray, Holy Spirit, that you would show us the things that need to shift in our own mindsets today. Cause us to be fruitful. I pray, God, like Paul did, that which is lacking in our faith would be perfected. And you would bring us into the fullness, Father, of what your intention is for this moment of time that we've stepped into. Father, I thank you for every person here and what they represent to you and who they are in you. The value of who they are in you, I believe you have divinely positioned them to be in the places where they are. I ask, God, that they would throw away the concepts they've tried to do in the mimicking and copying of others, and that you would give them the message for their region to bring momentum and movement, Father. God, I thank you for that, and I just bless them in Jesus' name. Amen.